This video is about deadlock. Deadlock is when a program can't make any forward progress due to broken locking. This is about the easiest code you can write that causes a deadlock. In this code, we're going to run two threads, a jack thread and a jill thread. The jack thread locks X and then it locks Y, and then it prints something, it unlocks, and it starts that process over again. Jill locks Y, then locks X, prints something, and then releases both locks and repeats that. If we run this program, we'll see very quickly that it ends up in deadlock. Ta-da! Immediately goes into deadlock. Didn't get to print a single time. Let's try it one more time. Now here we see that it printed jack a whole bunch of times, but right now there's nothing else happening on the screen. We can take a closer look at this by running it in the debugger. Here we see that we get started and we can continue from the pause on entry. It runs, and then at this point in time, I can manipulate this code, nothing is happening. Now that we pause these threads, let's take a look at where they're stuck. The jack thread is attempting to gain access to the Y mutex. Because it's on this line, that means it already got access to the X mutex. The jill thread has access to the Y mutex and is waiting to gain access to the X mutex. Neither of these threads will ever finish. All three of these threads are blocked waiting for something else to happen, which will never happen. One helpful way to think about deadlock is that it's a situation that requires 4 conditions to actually happen. Condition 1 is that you're using mutual exclusion locks such that only one thread can hold a resource at one time. Condition 2 is that each of these threads gains access to their resources one at a time, holds onto them, and waits until they gain access to the next one. Condition 3 is that a thread cannot be preempted, that is, it can't have its access to a lock revoked by another thread besides itself without voluntarily deciding to give up that lock. Condition 4 is probably the most important. In condition 4, what you need is a circular wait. What this means is that Jack is waiting for Jill to give up a resource, and at the same time, Jill is waiting for Jack to give up a resource. In this example, there are 2 threads waiting on each other, but any cycle between multiple threads would still cause deadlock. We can also see an example of deadlock in our train simulator. As we see here, there are 2 areas protected by the train signals that act as mutual exclusion locks. If I start both of these trains, they will start moving, but then eventually they're going to end up in a deadlock situation. As we see here, one train is waiting for the other to leave that lock, but because it's so long, it will hold on to that lock for quite some time. Now we see the deadlock. One train is holding the lock that the other one needs, while that one is holding the lock that the first one needs. This is a circular wait that can't be revoked besides by deleting the train. One of them is holding the lock and they're waiting until they get access to the next lock and is using multiple locks. This satisfies all 4 of our deadlock conditions. This has been CS361. Have a good one.